You guys could maybe.
Oh man. William.
Thanks everyone for joining us. For those of you who are watching live, yes, the pinky is required to drink your Red Bull.
So I just want to say something here, William. So we're getting in the show, we're watching the show, we're getting everything all ready, and we start the countdown, and I'm looking at Tim and Steve are sitting in the green room just off on the screen. And Tim is looking at his computer and looking around, and Steve is up, staring up at his TV in his office, I'm sure watching a game of something somewhere. I think he has no concern about the show whatsoever. He is not worried in the slightest. Here I am.
What are you talking about?
I'm worried about sound. I'm worried about video. Worried about I'm shooting in 4K today, and is it going to lock up on us? And I'm just freaking right out. And no, he's watching the game. So on that note,
he is so trusting.
Welcome to the Will and Dave Show.
Welcome to the Will and Dave Show.
I think we said that already, didn't we?
Yeah. Someday we'll get the hang of it. For those of you who are new to the show, we may be talking about some slightly mature subjects, but in today's case, we're specifically talking about sports. So expect language. It's kind of inevitable. We are men, and we're going to have more men on the show, so we will inevitably swear about sports today.
Well, we're also going to have Tim.
Well, he is a man. So,
okay. I was just making sure we're. I'm starting my digs in when he can't respond. You see, that way I get mine in first. Because how many times am I going to get fired tonight?
I've got it written down. I'm not going to say because I jinx it, but I've got a guess written down.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's one, and we have a couple sponsors for this show tonight.
We do. First, we have Kelly and Dottie, Mr. and Mrs. Hardy. They sponsored the show monetarily, and they are the benefactors that have provided me with this swanky new microphone that you see in front of you. We're very appreciative, myself specifically, because now I can sound better.
And we have Stitched by Susan, who is a regular, because I'm married to her, and the more often I do this, the more brownie points I get. So we're really happy to have Stitched by Susan as our show sponsor, and the fact that she buys the software for us every month that allows us to do this. It's actually sort of cool.
That certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Is there anything we need to know before we move on to our guests?
No, I was going to say we should introduce our guests.
So the first one, I will introduce Steve Jewell. So I met him probably 5 or 6 years ago. He was actually one of the most amazing finds of mine in Spokane because he knows everything about sports. You name it, he knows it. And he doesn't know anything about hockey. And so that made me instantly valuable and him much more valuable to me. It was the most amazing thing ever. I'm going to let you introduce our other guest because you know him much better than I do.
Our other guest will be the wonderful, fantastic, and ineffable Mr. Tim Vanden Heuvel, who has entertained me many a day as both a youngster and a teenager in teaching me how to give you shit. And I learned well.
On that note, I'll just unmute them. Welcome, gentlemen.
Guys.
Hello, everyone.
So I have a note for audio. I have to change audio, except I can't read it because it's too far away and I can't read it. So I don't know what's wrong with the audio, but something's wrong.
The old age setting in.
Oh, well, it's good enough. So what's up, guys?
Nothing, just missing my football because I'm doing this.
Who's playing?
There's like 6 games on, so it depends on which one. There's Oregon and Cal is the one about 8 inches above me up here.
So that's what you were watching in the countdown.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So if we're can I bring that up about football right away?
Absolutely.
Go for
Okay,
it.
because it's a sports show, so I thought I'd get started on this. I have to admit, I'm a Canadian, and Steve, obviously, an American. I am really impressed on how the NFL and how Americans make an event out of going to see a live football game. I was lucky enough to go and watch a live football game a few years back with some good friends of mine in Buffalo, New York. And it was a Buffalo game. Unbelievable. It's an event. Unlike in the CFL in Canada, it tends to be a pretty mediocre type event. It doesn't really get the blood flowing, in my opinion,
It's just another
compared to
game.
what you see in the United States.
Oh wow, that's yeah. I went to a Seahawks game last year, and just an amazing afternoon. Just except for traffic, mind you, in Seattle. But all in all, just the whole day was phenomenal, and I've got pictures of it up here on my wall. But it's an amazing thing that they put on. There's only 8 home games a year, so they got to make them good. And
Well, the tailgating events, the partying that went on out there, and how people get behind their team like no other. I think that is something that Canadian football, I think, is maybe starting to, until COVID hit, was starting to gain some traction other than, but I was just absolutely taken aback when I was at that game. It was just, I couldn't, it was crazy. It was such an event. It was fun. It was,
yeah.
I don't think anybody, if you haven't been to one, you have to experience it in real life.
Yes, definitely. I would totally agree with that. It's a great experience to go through.
Well, there's
My
a
only experience with football in the States was going to a high school game. So I've been to NHL games, hockey, and I've been to that, and I can easily say the high school football game was on par with an NHL game in terms of crowd and hype and food and the general like eventiness of it, as Tim put it. So the disparity, the difference between Canadian football and American football is so huge.
Hold on, Will. Is that a word you don't know?
You dare.
Is that a word you
It's a
don't know?
word
The
I can't remember
disparity?
properly.
The disparity?
Not the disparity. It's a different word. I wanted to say disparity, but that's not the one I was looking for.
It's a sport show. We can do with 4-letter words here. We're doing good.
Exactly.
So,
Well,
Tim,
hopefully next
the
year I get to
change
see my
thing
first
about it.
NHL game. So we've got the Kraken coming to Seattle.
yeah, don't
Oh,
get
yeah,
me going on the
exactly.
Kraken.
Coolest hockey team.
You're already on the Kraken, Dave. Trust me.
Yes.
ever.
So I have a question for you, Tim.
Let it roll.
What's the difference in between the NHL and the CFL?
The letters.
No. The only difference is the NHL, they wear skates. They both are played in winter. They both are played in freezing cold temperatures.
Oh, Dave.
It makes no difference. It's Saskatchewan. They could. It's. So
I
I've
don't know.
watched a Grey Cup.
I'll be honest with you. Well, I've been to the Grey Cup and stuff too. but
I
you
know.
what?
It's 90 below.
And I've been to Saskatchewan. Their tree was very nice. Okay.
I don't know. For some strange reason, I love watching NFL football, but I do watch CFL football, Canadian football as well. And I really actually missed it this year with COVID being hit. I didn't get to see any of it, and you know what? I did miss it.
Well, that's because we all miss everything about sports and COVID because there haven't been much. There
I
hasn't
was
been.
gonna
Yeah.
say, you're telling me that something that was normally here is not here because of COVID? It's a fucking shock right there.
Hey, Tim, we have a friend of yours who asks, what? Jeff Terry is wondering, what?
Yeah. Well,
I agree,
there's-
Jeff.
there-
This is a
Jeffy-
show about sports. What in
Jeffy's across the lake. He's a buddy of mine that I've known for quite some time, and we don't get to go to any local hockey games this year because of COVID. That
Because
we've
there
got
is
in
no
the
hockey.
past.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
basically you get the NBA and that's about it.
So I have a challenge for those of you watching. Steve is an encyclopedia of sports knowledge. So if you So if you can ask him a question about any sport except for hockey, I'll give him a pass on hockey. If you can ask him a question that stumps him, we will. I don't know what we'll do. We'll make fun of Will. There you go.
That's a lot of pressure, Dave. I don't know about that. So we'll see. I'll even take hockey questions, I guess. I know a little bit. The only thing I can't really talk about is like the Formula One racing tomorrow, the Shakir Grand Prix tomorrow at 9 a.m. What is that?
You see, you looked that up from our little interview last night, didn't you, Steve?
No, it's
You already
on
know
my
more than I
screen.
do.
Oh, there
So
you go.
So I have spent a lot of time at the Jules house, and I've watched a lot of sports at the Jules house. And I think the
Oh,
only
hold on. Can I
Yes.
interrupt here for a minute?
yeah,
You've
absolutely.
spent some time
You
at
did.
my
Good job.
house. But David spent some time at my house as well watching TV or sleeping at my house.
I was gonna say,
There's usually a nap involved during a sporting event with Dave.
Yes.
calling
yes.
him out.
At your place too, Steve?
Oh yeah. No, it's crazy. The man can sleep through anything. It's just nuts.
I kid you not. He and my mother came all the way to Ontario once and were visiting. He made it maybe 30 minutes on my tiny, dinky little love seat while we were getting ready for dinner, out like a light. He came across the country to take a nap on my couch.
It was a comfortable couch. What can I say?
It was thrift store special.
Yeah. So, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, I have spent a fair amount of time at the Jules couch or at their house rather. The only arguments I've ever heard him and Krista have is when he changes from one sport to another sport. I used to get texts from Krista. He found a new sport, and I don't even remember what they are, but he finds these obscure sports.
Yeah, it's not good over here. It's bad. I have issues. I'm sorry.
Those are issues that are forgivable, though, I think. At least I'll forgive you. I don't know about Krista, but I'll forgive you those issues.
There you go.
As any
So-
time I have a question about rules in basketball or baseball, I go, hey, Steve, what does this mean? And he answers it.
I try anyway.
You do.
So
So yesterday I got a message from Tim, and he said, hey, can I talk about this?
Oh, me? Yeah,
You.
I'm put on the spot.
That's you.
So
yeah.
I do want to put this out there is that I found out yesterday that the gentleman that sings the national anthem at every Canucks game for years and years, a gentleman by the name of Mark Donnelly, he was fired yesterday by what's the heck? Aquilini. I can't think. Pasquale Aquilini, the owner of the Vancouver Canucks, on air, didn't even have the decency to phone the gentleman and tell him he was fired because he was singing the national anthem today at a anti-mask rally in Vancouver. I feel that in this country, continent, wherever you want to call it, that has been, you don't have the right for your own opinion anymore, and you're being fired for what you believe in. I just think it's not right.
I don't see a problem.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, I think it got to me a little bit that he got fired and that Aquilini didn't even have the decency to phone him up and just fired him over Twitter.
I'm going to start by meeting on common ground with you here. I agree. Getting fired over Twitter is undeserving of virtually every professional except for people who work on Twitter.
that's what happens in our government down here.
I was just going to make a joke about that. It's like,
Oh,
the president
sorry.
doesn't get to get away with it. Neither does the GM of the Vancouver Canucks or owner or whatever Aquilini is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he did a thing that Aquilini, I'm assuming he thinks it'll reflect badly on the the club, but over Twitter is kind of crass, to put it lightly.
Except
Like,
as
So
you
then
say,
disrespectful.
as you say, though, if a president can do it, why shouldn't the president of the Canucks or the owner of the Canucks?
Well, I say the president can do it, but should he do it? No. He can.
But
The president
we're
of the
kind of
Canucks
missing. We're missing
can,
the
but it makes
point
him
here
look like
again.
a dink.
I think we're missing the point, though, is that he's getting fired because of something he believes in,
Yeah.
and it's gone across into his work life. I don't know if that's correct. It's the same thing as Don Cherry getting let go.
I mean, I think in almost any line of work, if you make your opinion like an opinion like that loud enough, I say like that as if it's a directly negative opinion, but I just mean if you make an opinion like that that is loud enough and pronounced enough, like this guy is something of a public figure, being the singer for the Canucks anthem. I feel like the owner of the Canucks has some onus to protect his brand by what he sees as protecting his brand. But I don't necessarily support it, but I get why he did it, and I think he's within his rights to do it. But again, is it a nice thing to do, or would I do it? No, but I think he's within his rights to do it.
So I'm going
Well, I
to
should-
Still a dick.
I'm going to interject because I've been fired before by the person in the
None
opposite
other.
corner, that corner right over there. There's no nice way to get.
have it.
There's no nice way to get fired. I mean, if it
Yeah, but
somebody's screaming up from the bottom of the stairs or somebody on their phone over Twitter, but I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here. That I think that if you are going to be an employee of a company and you take a stand for something which is not endorsed through the club, and the role that you are doing is the role that you had with the club. So as an anthem singer, if you sing the anthem, at another event, and it goes against the ethics of the club or whatever, I get that. I do. I kind of
But
agree.
here you go again. But here you go. Like everybody has employee contracts nowadays, Dave.
Yeah.
Correct? Was it spelled out in the employee contract that he can't sing that national anthem anywhere else?
I don't know, but I imagine
this,
so.
no. But that was the point I was going to touch on. Is if he was just going to the event or was just speaking at the event, I think it might have been different. But the fact that he was going to sing the anthem ties it more closely to his job at Vancouver. Like it's making a direct connection between his job and his personal choices, as opposed to him just going to the event on his own onus. If he had just gone and even spoken at it, I think it might have been different, partially because it probably wouldn't have made headlines. And so his boss probably would never have figured out, in the same sense that he may never figured out that he was fired if he didn't check Twitter.
Here's the other part that I wonder. There's only 11 fans of the Canucks anyway. So why they're that concerned?
Who gives a shit?
Why they're so concerned? It's sort of like NASCAR.
Yeah, and Formula One. Yeah.
Yeah. Argo Vroom.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So the NHL was very successful with a bubble to end their season earlier this year. And so they're obviously very cognizant of making sure that people are safe, doing the right thing. I know they're supposed to start NHL, I think, in February. Does that ring a bell?
I believe so, yeah. I don't follow it that closely.
And so they're still trying to obviously do the right thing, trying to get fans in there. Dave, you might be able to better answer that question. So yeah, the appearance of your own announcer or gentleman singing the national anthem, doing it in that role against what they've tried to control this virus the best they can, by wearing a mask, social distancing. That's what they all say down here can work. Hopefully we get a vaccine. So I guess the image of that coming out there, may not be what the owner's looking for, of course, because, even today we had one case, Gonzaga men's basketball, where I live here in Spokane, wasn't able to be played today because one player tested positive. So the number one team in the nation, Gonzaga, played number 2 Baylor, had to be canceled because of this disease. So, we talk about sports, we want to watch sports, but if you're anti-mask, which is what can get us there to watch sports, I see it. My own opinion.
They want to make their buck. They want to keep the game going, and they can't take the bad look.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, owners make money. I mean, probably pretty good money. So not being able to play, and to stand up and say, I'm going to sing at an event that they don't want to wear masks.
The
No,
guy's name
I
is
think
Francesco Aquilini, and he owns a hockey team in Vancouver. He has to make good money or he wouldn't be there. He could be
Yeah.
anywhere else,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
in Vancouver.
Yeah. So, definitely.
Speaking of COVID in sports, I think it opens up another angle that's not as controversial. Is how hard has it been for sports? So obviously, if you look at the NHL, who did it really well in the playoffs, and there's always going to be an asterisk, I think, after that Stanley Cup win, but they did it, and it was actually exciting hockey. So,
Mhm.
so are the rest of the sports are they doing it as well? Do you think, Steve and Tim?
The NBA did it extremely well as well. I believe they did not have a single positive case when they isolated and finished their regular season.
Right.
And so
The regulations were very strict, but they did pull it off.
bubble, exactly. So the bubble tended to work as far as being able to play and complete the year of sports. They're now starting back up for their 2020-21 season, not in a bubble, and I think it was an 8 or 9% positivity rate of being checked in before basketball even starts. And so they're going to have to work through because they're not going to do a bubble on this next season.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, as a fan, and I want to watch sports, but I can't imagine being a player and being isolated even more than I was before, as maybe traveling around. So, you know,
Right.
I see both sides of it.
Yeah, it must have been rough for them because they basically the entire season they have to live hotel to stadium. And
Mhm.
from what I understood, that was basically it. You had very, very, very controlled outside contact.
Yes, and then you had to stay away if you did find out that you had left the bubble. So they had
Mhm.
some players that ended up leaving, but had to stay isolated away again. So they were very strict, but not a single case.
Mhm.
So it can work, but very difficult on the players. So I think it
Yeah.
works for the pros. I'm not sure how college is doing it, but they have a lot of
I mean, the
cases.
pros
I
get
guess.
paid enough.
A lot of games
I
are
don't
canceled.
feel too much pain for them.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, like you
we
said,
can bring up
college
the
players.
world. We could bring up the World Junior Hockey that's going to be taking place here in a few more weeks.
Yeah.
There's been teams that have been like quarantined now that aren't able to practice because of COVID.
Right.
I just don't know. I think sports has taken a real. I'd like to see what the fan base is to see if it's still as popular as it was pre-COVID. Like, are they getting as many fans as watching and everything like that? I don't know what the stats are on that.
I don't know. That's a good question though. Like I wonder how the bounce back will be too. If
Yeah.
everyone's sitting there waiting with bated breath for sports to come back, or if they're going to lose maybe a chunk of their long-term audience that have found other things in the meantime.
That's what I was gonna I agree with you there, Will. I wonder what that's gonna look like.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping in the NHL that they would have a few more camera angles, a few more advanced features in the broadcast, as there was nobody there,
Yeah.
and there wasn't much new. And I don't know.
You think you could get some cool camera angles down in the
Yeah.
seats and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the interviews with them holding on the microphone out on a boom 9 feet away was sort of entertaining. At that stage, just don't do the interview. Just make one up.
Right. Exactly.
I'm waiting for like old Get Smart, like the cone of silence thing.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to make an appearance and to have them just shouting at each other through the plastic and just make a joke out of it. Have fun with it.
So I do think if you look at sports, or honestly, look at entertainment in general, I think a lot of it is going to be more online and more through broadcast, as I think for the near future anyways. Even with the vaccine, I think you're going to see way smaller crowds, and they need more revenue because there's not the fans in the seats who buy the beer and the hot dog.
Yeah. Warner Brothers just signed a deal with HBO. Everything that Warner Brothers is releasing this year is all going to be released on HBO Max in sync with theater releases, because they know that even if a vaccine comes out in 2021, their theater take is going to get massively hamstrung.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, it goes right back to the beginning of the show. I personally would much rather travel to go and see a football game, a hockey game. you're wrapped up in the moment rather than sitting on my couch watching Dave sleep watching a hockey game. You know what I mean? Like the feeling just isn't there. Like it's
the
not the same.
snoring. It's just
Yeah, like even going to see a junior hockey team, like a junior game, like you talked about it. Will going to see a football game at a high school level. Like, what do you do?
So
like, I don't think it's going to be the same.
So explain this one from Jeff. If WWE has full crowds, is that true? I don't watch WWE. Is that true, Steve?
Oh, I thought we
Is
were
that a
talking
sport?
about sports. I'm not sure. I'm confused.
I think that speaks to the average IQ
my
of WWE
extensive
watchers.
channel surfing abilities that I have, for what I have seen, I have not seen an audience in the wrestling world, but that would be a very limited viewing on my end. So I'm not sure about that one.
Well, I'm going to look it up while I'm sitting here because I find that interesting.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think of
Go ahead, Will.
WWE as a sport. WWE is it's performance.
Holloway
it's
sport.
theater.
Theater.
What's
There
that?
you go. It's
Yeah,
theater.
it's a performance.
And yeah, it's an art form of their own sort, so to speak. So
Jeff just clarified.
But just let me clarify, it was really a good sport when it was Stampede Wrestling. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers that. Maybe David will remember that back in the good old days in northern BC, watching it on CJDC TV
never once.
with Stu Hart. Well, I know the gentleman watching, Jeff Terry, he'll know who I'm talking about. But that was some good wrestling right there.
So I'm just looking this up, and you're right. So the WWE is having virtual fans, and so you get your face on a TV monitor in the broadcast, that's a lot of TV monitors.
Well, that's what the NBA did in their bubble. Was
Yeah.
You could be on the video screen, of course. So yeah,
Right.
so same type of thing. So okay, that makes sense.
What about being a cardboard cutout at the World Series?
Oh
Good,
yeah.
like,
I did
That's
recommend to Steve that he do that for the Seattle Mariners.
I know it was $30. Yeah, I wish I would have done it, but I didn't. It was $30.
you really could become that? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
through the Mariners website, you would send in a picture, and they would place you in the stadium. And then if a foul ball hit your picture, they mailed you the ball.
Oh hell, I want to do that. Call me up.
It'd be like playing NHL 2001 all over again. You get to be one of those little 2D crowd members.
So I
That's
said to
inside of my
Steve
sports
he had to
video
be
game.
careful because he's a fan of the Mariners, and if he had his cardboard figure in the stands, if they wanted to improve the team, they would take his cardboard out from the stands and insert it in the lineup and make an instant improvement to the team.
Yeah. Well, maybe. So I just didn't do it because I figured with this quarantine 15 that I've added on, I'd have to buy 2 seats. That was $60. Couldn't do it. Not gonna happen.
Quarantine 15. I love it.
Yeah. Only for some of us, it's quarantine 19 or 20 or 25. It's
I've been getting real good at making pasta. Let me tell you.
I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So what does your next year look like for sports, Steve? What are you looking at for what's going to happen in the next year for sports? What's your prediction?
Well, it looks like the NFL is going to get through their season regardless. The way that the season has gone so far, they're going to get through it. So still get the Super Bowl. The MLS is in the playoffs. They've got the semifinals today or tomorrow and Monday, and then they'll finish that up. Baseball and hockey are starting in 21. Hopefully we'll hear about more vaccine news by then to see what happens with that. So it looks like it's going to keep rolling. It's going to be different. I think that's going to be true for everybody for quite a while. And so, whether we get packed stadiums in 21, I cringe when I still see some college football games that look like they're half full and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just different. If I watch an old game of something and I see a crowd, I get nervous. I'm like, "Where's your mask?" So
Right.
it's different, but I think they'll get through it. I think each sport knows with the dollars of advertising, TV revenue, owners are there. It's a business to them, so they're going to make their money. I think they'll continue on.
Yeah, they'll find
And
a way
you,
to make it
Tim,
work.
Yeah.
so you're into wheeled sports, I know, into Formula One, into NASCAR. So what are they doing for COVID?
Well, just like everybody else, they've really, followed the guidelines where everybody has to be masked up. They can't, social distancing and all that type of thing. Um, Talking about, Formula One, Lewis Hamilton is now going to be sitting out the race tomorrow morning because he had come down with COVID-19. Um, that really hasn't been that. It hasn't impacted those sports as much as it has the other ones, in my opinion. But I'm really starting to back away from watching NASCAR. Like I used to follow it, religiously type thing, but I'm just tired of the way the rules have gone with that particular sport. So I'm kind of transitioning more into the open wheel sports where IndyCar and Formula One racing seems to be more of a more competitive sport, in my opinion.
Right. So I have a story to tell on Tim, and this is actually a good story, Tim, so you can relax. He had ordered a tire. Who was that? Who had written on that tire that was autographed? Is it Jeff Gordon?
Robbie Gordon.
Robbie Gordon. He had ordered off eBay, and he asked me if it's okay if it shipped into my house here, and I drove it up to his house. So I'm like, sure. So I have this tire off a race car that has an autograph on the side. And I'm like, okay, I've got to go over the border with this thing. How do I explain this and how do I declare it? Because I don't know what it's worth. I have no clue. It could be worth millions in 10 years. Who knows? So I get to the border and I'm in my pickup and the guy looks in the back, the border guard looks in the back, said, "What's that?" And I said, "I have no idea. It's an autographed tire from a guy who's a fan." He said, "Oh, looks good. See you later." So what was that worth, Tim? That tire. What was that tire worth?
I got it on eBay for $30.
Oh, sweet.
Here I was, like, puckered up for some
That wasn't
amazing
even a Michelin.
numbers.
No.
No.
Those are like 120.
Yeah, and the driver, it was just nothing. It's more of a conversation piece than
Right.
anything that I seen it. And I really wasn't. I was being budget conscious when I purchased that particular tire. There were other ones that had more famous drivers on
Right.
it, but like I said, I just wanted to hang something on the wall in the garage.
So the same border crossing, a few months later, I was going up and he asked if I had anything to declare. And I said, "No, I don't." So he said, "Well, open the back." I guess I go across there fairly often. So I opened the back up. He looks in. He said, "Hey, there's a package in here." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's right. It's a miniature car for Tim again." It was a Dodge Viper, a miniature Viper that he had got off eBay or somewhere for $19.95. And I said, "Yeah," I said, "I forgot about that car." I said, "It's $19.95. As a friend of mine bought it off eBay." For a $19.95 car, he hauled me inside and interrogated me for 20 minutes and then sent me on my way.
Man, you have the worst luck at the border.
Well, I have great luck. I just think he was bored because it was like 3 a.m. I just think he wanted something to do.
Someone to talk to. He just needed a friend, Dave.
That's right. So, yeah. So, Tim, you're into motorsports.
Yeah.
You own a Dodge Viper.
Yes.
So what is your Viper? I know it's a special car. What's so cool about it?
It's a limited edition car. It's a 2004 Dodge Viper Mamba edition. So there was only 200 cars that were actually built in that configuration, and my car is car number 90 out of 200. So
Oh,
it's pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah.
So I was
Well,
having
you've been to my garage several times, Dave. You've seen what it looks like. I've got all kinds of memorabilia up on the walls and
Oh,
that
yeah.
type of thing, of automotive type related stuff, gasoline type merchandise, old gas station stuff. That's kind of my vice, I
Wheelhouse.
guess. I enjoy doing it.
So all the rest of the world, you take your shoes off in the garage, you have to go into the house. At Tim's house, you take your shoes off inside the house to go into the garage. It is the cleanest garage I think I've ever been in.
I can attest to that. I have seen the garage, well, the old one in Fort St. John, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a question
thank you.
from Jeff. He's asking, what is MSL? But it's actually MLS, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm MLS is Major League Soccer.
There you go.
MSL. Yeah, I got nothing.
I think it's a typo. I think it's MLS. I think he's asking. So
Okay.
No,
I think-
no, hold on. Let me just say here, Dave, Jeff Terry is a real estate agent. MLS is a multiple listing service for him.
there you go.
I know about as much about both MLSs.
Yes. So we haven't got to hammer on you at all tonight, William. You have
Hey.
escaped.
Me with my little esports guy in the corner of the screen here. That's the only sports I know anything about.
So I went.
So
look-
where
ahead.
Alex should be on. Alex should be the one on here. He's tried to beat me in my hockey pool last year.
I
but he's
tried
a
to
boy.
get him on, and he wouldn't come on. He's way too good looking for YouTube, I think.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm not. I'll be nice. Sorry.
I'm putting that one on the screen.
I'm gonna be nice.
Soccer is not a sport.
And Steve may come up and beat you, Jeff.
Says
Oh, yeah.
WWE practitioners are athletes, but soccer's not a sport.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Anything you want to say to that, Steve? It's your mic is a weapon.
No, I'll leave that one alone. Soccer, they play 90 minutes. I know in hockey, they skate for like a minute and then they go sit down. Is that really a sport? I don't get that. And then they're really
You got me
winded
there.
after like 30 seconds. And then they get a line change. I don't think if you have many line changes in soccer, you at least play 45 and get a 15-minute break. You get
It's
three
really cold out there,
substitutes
man.
back. But I don't know about this whole minute and then sitting down thing. That's another story, though.
Skates are really uncomfortable too.
So I am a hockey fan, and I have to admit, when you look at the average athlete in soccer, they are incredibly fit, and again, I'll give that to them. I don't enjoy the sport as you can. I can have a full-size nap in between goals, and that is always boring. But
I like
Dave, you
I
can
put
have a
hockey
full
only
size nap.
slightly above like
Over.
golf in terms of fitness levels required.
I missed that. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
In terms of like the fitness required to be a pro athlete within that sport, I think hockey is like, I think it's only above maybe golf and maybe baseball, maybe.
Gotcha.
Like the shape that the athletes are in for soccer isn't even in the same ballpark as hockey players. That's right.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's
So don't get me wrong,
incredible.
they're in way better shape than me.
So have Terry play a soccer match, I guess, and then we'll see if it's a sport. I don't know.
Will, we just lost a fan.
I lost a fan. Does it help if I'm Dwayne Johnson's biggest fan and Dave Bautista, but not for their WWE careers? It's for everything else they do. But
William,
No,
I would
I'm
like you to read his comment out loud, please, because again, we have a commenter who cannot spell.
verbatim, you badmouth WWE. I am stutting down. No, lost a fan. No offense, Jeff. It's a running gag. Don't take it personally, please.
If you're going to write in to the Will and Dave show and you can't spell or use proper grammar,
Oh, give me a break about proper
Is he
grammar.
from Canada?
he is.
Eh?
Oh, maybe it's spelled right then. I don't know.
Is there an echo in here?
So I have to say that I made a compilation. I made a song for curling that could have been the soundtrack to any hardcore porno movie in the world.
Wait.
Susan would not let me air it.
You said
So
it to
we'll
me
just-
last night.
Yeah, we can't air it, but have a good laugh sometime. Do yourself a favor. Go watch, like, find professional curling on YouTube and just close your eyes or minimize the window while listening to it, and just let your mind wander. Just find that gutter, and it's a good laugh. It's a great time.
So I'm looking for the clips. Last night I'm going through YouTube. I'm looking at clips to get this audio from, and I found one that had a Scottish announcer.
Oh boy.
And it was so good. It was so good. So I love the Scottish voice to start with, and you hear, and they get going, and I can't do a Scottish accent, and they get going, and then all of a sudden you hear the hard, more, hard, and it was priceless. It was priceless.
I don't know what to say.
So,
Yeah.
so for those of you who want to know what I'm talking about, it'll be on the Facebook page tonight. I'll put the audio on the Facebook page. So go there and find out.
The call-outs they do during curling are something special. It's
are.
really, truly unique.
So
Considering it's oversized shuffleboard, they really get into it.
So even Alex, in his youth, we were on our way to get to Nashville in 2010. It was right after the Olympics in Vancouver. And the curlers from Canada had won gold medals. So we were flying to Nashville. There's a layover in Edmonton, Alberta. And we get to Edmonton, and we had a layover there for like 6 hours. And we're sitting in the airport. All of a sudden, there's a hubbub at the arrivals area. And it's all the curlers who were coming into the airport on their layovers to go home. So there's a bit of a crowd there, and I say to Alex, I said, hey, let's go over and get a picture with some of these gold medal winners. And he looks at me, he said, no. He said, they're Canadians. He said, I'm cheering for America. And that was the first time that I knew that we were going to be moving to the States, was in 2010.
Ooh.
When he would not cheer for Canada. He didn't even want to meet the athletes who had won gold medals.
Yeah, but they were
Traitor.
curlers.
Well, they were curlers, so are they athletes?
Well, I must admit, if you've ever gone to a curling match or been to the Oilman's curling bonspiel in Fort St. John, they are athletes in their own right, usually at the bar.
The curl?
Yeah, the
There you
curl.
go. That's the curl. Yeah.
There you go.
Post-game libations are really where it's at.
Post-game. William, you and those words. They had a drink, man. Post-game libations.
Give me a second. I'm getting you a definition there, Dave.
I know what it means, but it's a
there
sports
you
show. He had a
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
It's not a libation.
Had a brewski.
Anyways, you went all night, and you wait till I'm about to close the show down to tease the Canadian, Steve.
I did, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it. I did pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for showing up for a sports night.
Of course.
Make it a little bit lighter of a topic than what we've had the last few, and it's been fun.
No, I enjoyed it, you guys. That was fun.
Yeah, we'll have you guys on
Thanks,
again.
guys.
Have a great
Sounds
night,
good.
guys.
All right. Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Don't
See you
die.
later. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Will.
Heyo.
That was fun. I'm still live, so
Yeah.
we're still live on the. I really
Turning into
enjoyed
a
that.
variety show now, or at least testing the waters of being a variety show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Something a little more lighthearted leading up to the holidays.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about the if going to Christmas and every week is about elections or COVID or police brutality or something. I mean, we had to
Yeah.
find something that was.
And I mean, inevitably post Christmas, I'm going to whinge about capitalism and consumerism some. So we'll get we'll sink our teeth into some good stuff after Christmas. But for the time being, I think we're gonna lead into Christmas with some lighter topics.
So
Keep
we
it
have one
chilly
more
out.
from Jeff. Says curlers smoke as well.
Smoke all
now-
sorts of things.
Well, now we have. You're allowed to, actually use your wacky tobacco. I don't know what the curlers are going to do because they're not going to be able to wake up enough to get to the end of the round or the whatever they call the things that curlers do.
I legitimately almost bought a shirt for this show that just said "Go Sport." Because I don't know diddly squat. I think I know most of the rules to hockey and some of the rules to baseball. That's it. That is it.
You used to play hockey.
I did. That's the only reason I know most of the rules,
Yeah.
because I was forced to learn them.
You had fun. I made you have
I have
fun.
fun playing it. I don't watch it though. I
No.
still to this day. Michaela watches more hockey than I do.
You
Except
married.
she cheers for Toronto, so
Ooh.
yeah, I know.
I'm not so sure.
I try not
about
to hold
that.
it against her.
So
You know
Jeff's
what, at
saying
least
we
she
need.
doesn't- What?
So Jeff is saying we need more than one fan.
Hey, you're telling me.
Yeah. We need more than one that comments.
Yeah, tell all your friends. Get them in here.
There are 5 people watching, and nobody's commenting except for Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's making up for all of you.
Yeah.
He's really carrying you guys. He's got you in his backpack. He's doing all the work.
Well, we want to say thank you to all our fans, and we will see you next week, same time, same station, YouTube. And have you got anything to leave them with, Will? Or you just want to let them
Like,
go?
comment, subscribe.
Oh,
Plug our
yeah.
channel or plug the show. You know,
Yeah, got to get that
Like,
algorithm
comment,
going.
subscribe. As we just said, comment much as you want, much as you can. Or if you have any suggestions for shows, please. Our website has a little button on the top there where you can either write or give a video response to us, giving us ideas for future episodes. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to hear your ideas. Give the people what they want. We just don't know what you want yet.
And we don't promise to give you what you want, except we want to hear what you want. We make no promise that we're going to give it to you.
We promise that we'll contemplate it.
That's right. And we might mock you if you can't spell correctly.
Yeah.
Yes.
We keep saying that. One of these days we're gonna post something grammatically incorrect to Twitter, and we're gonna get lambasted for it.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
It's a matter of time.
Yes. And if you would be so kind as to share these with folks, because sharing makes the world a better place.
Sharing is caring, boys and girls.
Oh, thank you.
Spread the love around.
And one last thing, we do have a podcast. It is on our website, is also now available on every conceivable
provider you can
podcasting
think of.
platform, from
Yeah.
from iHeart to Apple, we're even on Spotify now. So
Yeah, we're bumping elbows with Joe Rogan.
that's right.
Look out, buddy. We're coming for you.
Okay. Thank you, R. We will see you next week.